Hi, my name is Isaias. I'm with Bogart Tech Design, and I'm going to show you how to install window tint step by step, so make sure to stick around. So the first step before starting any window installation, we want to make sure we clean the area we're going to be working with. So for this instance right now, we want to make sure before we start, we clean around this whole window panel right here. Reason being because when we put the actual pre-cut film onto the window, we need to make sure it's clean. Because we need this area to shrink the film in order to start the installation afterwards.
Hey, so what type of soap or solution is great to use for this?
So when it comes to the solution, you could either use baby soap or Dawn dish soap, whichever or is fine when it comes to window tinting. The reason being we use those type of solutions is to make sure when we're installing it, we're able to move the film around. Because if we just use water, it's just going to be stuck in one place and we won't be able to move the film around. So we want to make sure we have some type of soapy solution or slip solution to make sure we move the film where we want to place it. And then for this one, we just want to make sure to add just a little bit of water on the actual window, just so you could move it around. So that way you position it. And then roughly when we're trying to shrink the film, we want to give it a bit of space here. That way when wrinkles do come up here when we're heating the film, we're able to shrink them down and we have space. So we will just want to make sure we have a flat surface here. So right now, when we're placing the film, we want to make sure before squeegeeing the whole thing, we want to make sure we do an N shape form when we're applying the film itself on the window. Reason being because when we do the N shape, we make sure we flatten out the edges, because when we're shrinking, we could only shrink up and down, not side to side. So we want to make sure everything is going downward. So that's why we make the N shape to close it out.
Got it.
And then everything's just here. So when it comes to shrinking the film, we want to make sure we use a heat gun. So when I apply heat on a certain area of the film, you're going to see that wrinkles start to appear. The only time when you're supposed to squeegee down the wrinkles is when you see that it's been heated around. So you'll see when I go around, it starts to wrinkle. That's when it's time to squeegee down the fingers. So as you see here, so you see it starts doing a wavy pattern. When you see that wavy pattern, we're able to squeegee it down. So we just want to make sure we have a wavy pattern, because if we just squeegee it without having that pattern and we just squeegee down, it might cause like a wrinkle, and it might damage the film if we do it without shrinking it properly. So right here we want to make sure we shrink it and then just squeegee. And then when it comes to heating up the film, just take your time. There's no need to rush it. It's just heating it around.
What do you do when you have a persistent wrinkle like that one?
So when it comes to a wrinkle like this one, or a finger, you just want to heat it up. Not too much where you burn the film, but enough where it helps squeegee out. So as you see, I heat it up around and it went away already. So there's another one here. You just want to put heat around it and then squeegee down. Because if I squeegee this one without heating it up, it might wrinkle. So for right now, it didn't wrinkle. But we always want to make sure we heat up any wrinkles or fingers that you see.
How do you know when you got all the fingers?
So the only way you know if you got all the fingers is when you're passing the heat around the film on the edge right here or towards the bottom. If no fingers lift with the heat, then you know the film itself is flat and you're able to continue with installation. So as long as you don't see any more fingers, you should be good to go. So what the next step to do after you finish shrinking down all the fingers, the next thing is to make sure we prep the other side now. So we want to make sure, as well as how this side is, we want to make sure this side is clean. And when it comes to installing the window on this end, there's, you could say, two ways to doing it. You could do it without removing the actual door panel. That's one way to do it. The only thing is you just have to have patience with that part, because when it comes to installing on the bottom portion of the film may get stuck on the door. So we want to make sure when it comes to installing the bottom portion, we take our time. But the easier but more time-consuming process would be actually removing the door panel. But if you do remove the door panel, the whole installation will be much easier since you won't have anything on your way basically. The next thing is making sure we cover any electronics that's on the actual door. So in this case, the electronics that might be here are the buttons to move the window up and down, and any other stuff that may be electronic. After we cover everything, the next step will be cleaning the inside of the window itself here. So when it comes to cleaning the window, the first thing we want to do is make sure we clean the bottom portion first. The reason being because when we clean the bottom portion, we need to also clean the top portion here. But as you can see, we cannot access it. So we want to make sure we clean this part first. And then once this part is clean, we want to make sure before putting the window down, lift the film up just a bit. That way when you put the window down, it doesn't damage the actual film. So we want to just lower it down up to where we are able to clean the top portion. And then you could just let go of the film and they'll lay flat on the actual door panel. So once this is clean, we move on to the top portion. And then just to clean it, just grab your slip solution. Just give it a quick spray. And then with the stainless steel blade, just go over the window, making sure there's no adhesive or any dirt, just removing it.
So you ready to install?
Yes, so before we actually start the installation process, once we finish cleaning the film, the window itself, we want to make sure we soak the actual window with plenty of slip solution. As like I mentioned earlier, we want to make sure it's soapy solution, so baby shampoo or dish soap. That way when we're installing it, the film doesn't get stuck, and with the slip solution, you're able to move the film around. So just make sure you spray all around, even the edges. When you're spraying the edges, we want to make sure you start from top to bottom. That way the water just goes down in case it does have any contaminants. And then just spraying the bottom. And then once you spray this side, you want to go ahead and move to the front side and slowly remove the protective layer off the film. So as you can see, it's going to come with two layers. So it's going to come with the protective film on top and then the actual tints on the bottom. So we want to make sure we spray the solution on the tint itself, on the adhesive side. And then when it comes to installation, since the adhesive side is facing towards us, we want to make sure we grab the film the correct way. So the way you do it is we want to make sure with your right hand, we grab it from the side film where it's facing you. And with your other hand, you want to make sure you just guide it and pick it up. So when you're carrying the film, just make sure you're not wrinkling it. You want to make sure it's a nice curve without any edges being wrinkled. So when you're carrying it, just bring it over. So as you can see, because it does have the protective layer, the adhesive side on the bottom side is not going to get any contamination with the towel or anything. So we want to make sure we install. So place it on this end first. Okay, so once you have this top portion aligned, we want to make sure we squeegee just the top portion before continuing on with the rest. So we want to make sure you apply pressure with one finger and slowly squeegee out. If you do feel that the film is giving you a hard time to glide with the squeegee, just add slip solution and then just continue squeegeeing. So right now you just want to squeegee the top portion. That way it doesn't move when you're actually applying more pressure onto it. And then when it comes to squeegeeing this part, we want to heat up just the top portion here. That way it seals, and when we work on the bottom, it's not going to move the film around. So with the heat gun, just grab the heat gun and pass the heat just a little bit. And then with the tool, the tuck-in tool, just squeegee moving up. And then once you have it set, it shouldn't move. So as you can see, it's not going to move anymore. So you sealed it. Once you have it sealed, you start with the installation. To put the window up, we want to make sure we apply pressure on the window, because if we don't apply pressure and we roll the window up, the window frame is going to catch on the film and it might make it come down. So we want to make sure you apply just a bit of pressure, and then once you apply pressure, just lift the window up slowly. And like that, we're able to start working on the bottom portion. So same step, just make sure the bottom portion is wet. Once it's wet, we're going to expose the bottom half. So we want to make sure when we remove the bottom half, that the bottom half doesn't touch the towel, because sometimes the towel may have some lint. So we just want to make sure we're careful. And then we just wet the adhesive side of the film. And then from there, you want to tuck it in. Okay, so then once you place the film, the next thing is making sure we wet the window itself. So just add slip solution again. And then with the hard squeegee, just want to make sure you squeegee out all the water. So just squeegee downward. So as mentioned, to make sure you squeegee, you want to make sure the surface is wet, because if you squeegee it when it's dry, the squeegee itself is going to stay stuck on the film and you won't be able to squeegee. So it's going to give you a hard time if you do it dry. So just wet it a bit. And then just with pressure, bring everything downward. The finishing touches would be, we want to make sure we post heat the film, meaning we just use a heat gun and just heat around the whole window, so that way the adhesive on the film activates more faster and dries faster. So just with the heat gun that you're working with, just go around in circular motion. Alright guys, my name is Isa with Tech Design. So this is one of the ways to install window tint film on the passenger side of the window itself. And if you guys are ready to install your own window with the tint kit, it's going to be in the description down below. And if you like this video, like and subscribe.